I found out my mom had been lying to me for 14 years because a lawyer slid a folder across a conference table and said, like he was telling me the time, "Your mother has been the sole beneficiary since you were 18." I actually laughed, one sharp, confused sound, because I thought he had to be wrong. My mom had been telling me my whole life that the money my biological father left was locked away for my future, for a home, for kids, for emergencies, for me. But the lawyer didn't flinch. He just tapped the page again and said, "Yeah, there's nothing left to release." And in that moment, I didn't feel anger first. I felt something colder, like my childhood rearranged itself in my head, and suddenly everything made a different kind of sense. My name is Noah, 30M. I work in logistics, boring job, stable paycheck, the kind of work where your brain is always juggling 100 tiny deadlines. I live with my wife Claire, 29F, in a small house we bought last year after saving like maniacs for a down payment. We don't have kids yet, but we've been talking about it, the normal future stuff, names, schools, whether we'd survive sleep deprivation. My mom, Diane, 57F, loves telling people how close we are. And in some ways we were. Growing up, it was just me and her. She raised me alone, worked 2 jobs, packed my lunches, went to every school event. She was the kind of mom who would clap too loudly at assemblies. She was fierce, protective. The mom who would stare down a teacher if they got my name wrong. When people said, she did it all herself, they weren't wrong. But what nobody tells you is that sometimes the person who does it all alone learns something dangerous. They learn they get to decide what's true. I didn't know my dad. I didn't even have a real picture of him on the wall. My mom told me he died when I was little. She told me he was complicated, that he loved me in his own way, but he wasn't stable, and she didn't want me to get hurt. I grew up with that story like it was air, and honestly, I didn't question it much. When you're a kid and you're missing something, you either ask about it until it makes everyone uncomfortable, or you learn to stop asking because you don't like the look on your mom's face. My mom's face, whenever I asked, did this thing where her mouth would tighten, like she was holding back pain, and she'd say softly, "Let's not talk about him today." So I learned to not talk about him. The only solid detail I got was that he left money for me, not some huge trust fund fantasy, just something. My mom called it a settlement. She said it wasn't accessible until I was older, that it had rules, and that it would be there when I needed it. And when you're a teenager in a small apartment with a mom who's exhausted all the time, the idea of money waiting for your future feels like a tiny light, like a promise that the hard part will end. When I turned 18, I asked about it again. My mom was washing dishes, and I remember the smell of dish soap and spaghetti sauce. "Do we need to do anything about that money?" I asked. She didn't turn around. "Not yet." "Why not?" I pressed. She dried her hands slowly, then looked at me like I'd insulted her. "Noah," she said, voice tight, "I'm handling it. You don't need to worry." And because I was 18 and still a kid in my bones, I nodded, because that was our dynamic. She handled, I trusted. Claire met my mom a few years later, when we started dating seriously. Claire is warm, but not naive. She's the type who listens carefully when people talk. She notices what they don't say. My mom loved Claire at first, in that intense way she loves everything connected to me. She would text her recipes, invite her over, call her sweetheart. But there was always this underlying vibe of ownership. Like I wasn't a grown man building a life, I was still her project. If Claire and I went on a weekend trip, my mom would say, "You didn't tell me." If we didn't answer a call, she'd text, like we were lost children. If Claire made a decision about our house, my mom would say, "Well, Noah always liked it this way," like Claire was a guest in a life my mom designed. Claire tried to ignore it. I tried to downplay it. Because you don't want to believe your mother's love has conditions. You don't want to believe the person who raised you is capable of anything that feels like betrayal. Then last year, we finally bought a house. We'd been saving for years, skipping trips, driving old cars, packing lunches, doing all the boring adult stuff that feels like a long, slow climb. And the night we got approved, Claire cried in the kitchen, like full body, relief tears. I held her and whispered, "We did it." And then, without even thinking, I said, "I should tell Mom." Claire pulled back slightly. "Do you want to?" I blinked. "Of course, she'll be happy." Claire nodded, but her eyes had that caution again. "Okay." So I called my mom. She answered immediately. "Hi, honey," I told her. "We got approved. We're buying a house." There was a pause, just a fraction too long. Then my mom said, "Oh, not happy, oh. Not excited, oh. Oh, like, I didn't expect that." I laughed nervously. "Yeah, it's happening." My mom's voice tightened. "Did you use the money?" I frowned. "What money?" "The money," she said sharply, like I was playing dumb. I felt my stomach drop. "Mom, I don't have that money." Another pause. Then she said, too quickly, "Right, of course you don't. I assumed you might want to use it for something like this." Claire was watching me from across the room, eyes narrowed. I swallowed. "Can we talk about it? Because, honestly, we could have used help with the down payment." My mom's tone changed. Bright. Forced. "Oh, honey, I wish I could. But it's complicated. It's tied up." I frowned harder. "Tied up how?" "It's in accounts. Investments," she said vaguely. "Paperwork. You know. Not easy." I didn't know. That was the point. Claire mouthed, "Ask her." So I did. "Mom," I said, trying to keep it casual, "can you tell me where it is? Like what bank? What account? Just so I understand." My mom's voice sharpened instantly. "Why?" My chest tightened. "Because it's mine, and I'm 30. Silence. Then my mom let out this sigh like I was being ungrateful. "Noah, after everything I've done, you're interrogating me?" I flinched. "I'm not interrogating. I'm asking." My mom replied, cold, "We'll talk later." And she hung up. Claire stared at me. "That was weird." I rubbed my face. "She's just stressed." Claire didn't let it go. "Noah, that wasn't stress. That was avoidance." I tried to laugh it off, but my stomach was twisting. Because Claire was right. My mom didn't sound stressed. She sounded cornered. That night, Claire said gently, "Maybe you should see the documents." I shrugged. "I don't even know if documents exist." Claire's eyes softened. "Then you should find out." So I did. I texted my mom the next morning. Me. "Hey, can you send me the paperwork for Dad's settlement trust? I just want it for my records." She didn't reply for hours. Then, "Mom, why are you suddenly obsessed with that?" Obsessed? Like I was greedy? Like I was a problem for asking? I typed, "Me. I'm not obsessed. I just want to understand. It's part of my future." My mom replied, "Mom, I said it's tied up. Stop pressuring me." Claire watched the messages appear and said quietly, "Something's wrong." I felt anger spark, but it was tangled with guilt, because it feels wrong to doubt your mother. It feels disloyal, like you're betraying the person who never left. But I couldn't ignore the pit in my stomach anymore. So I did the thing I'd never done. I went around her. I searched my name on old court records. I requested information from the county. I called a few offices and got bounced around like a pinball. Most people told me nothing. Privacy. Time. Paperwork. Then one clerk said, "Do you have the attorney's name?" I didn't, but I remembered my mom once mentioned a lawyer years ago, someone she handled things with. So I asked my mom again, this time in a phone call because text gave her too much room to twist. "Mom," I said, trying to keep my voice calm, "who handled Dad's settlement? What attorney?" My mom laughed, sharp. "Are you hiring a lawyer against me now?" I felt my cheeks burn. "No, I'm trying to understand my own life." My mom's voice hardened. "Noah, you're being influenced." I blinked. "Influenced by who?" She didn't say Claire's name, but she didn't have to. "You were never like this." I swallowed. "I'm not like this. I'm just asking for transparency." My mom went quiet, then said softly, almost pleading, "Honey, don't do this." That sentence made my stomach drop more than anything else. Because if everything was normal and honest, she wouldn't sound scared. She'd sound annoyed, sure. Defensive, maybe, but not scared. I said low, "Mom, what happened to the money?" Silence. Then she snapped, "I'm not talking about this." And she hung up. That was the moment something cracked in me. Not explosive, just a quiet break. Because I realized my mom wasn't refusing to talk because it hurt. She was refusing to talk because it would expose something. So, I called around until I found the attorney's office name through an old piece of mail my mom had stuffed into a box of my childhood paperwork. The name was printed at the bottom of a faded letter, Hawthorne and Mills. My hands were shaking when I dialed. I told the receptionist my name. I said I was trying to understand records related to my father. There was a long pause. Then she said, carefully, "We can schedule a consultation." The consultation was 2 weeks later. 2 weeks of my mom calling me twice a day, leaving voicemails like, "Hi, honey. Call me back. Why are you doing this? You're hurting me. I don't deserve this." And every voicemail made my guilt flare. I kept thinking, maybe this is a misunderstanding. Maybe I'm being paranoid. Maybe Claire is right, but it's not malicious. But deep down, I already knew. Because my mom wasn't curious. She wasn't confused. She wasn't saying, "What are you talking about?" She was only angry that I was looking. The day of the consultation, Claire came with me. She sat beside me in the waiting room with her hand on my knee, steadying me. I kept bouncing my leg like I was about to take an exam. When we got called in, the attorney, an older man with tired eyes, sat down with a folder. He asked basic questions, confirmed my identity. Then he said, "Your father's name was..." And he said it out loud. I'd heard it before, but hearing it in a professional office, on an official record, felt like touching something forbidden. And then he said the sentence that changed everything. "Your father left a structured settlement intended for you." I felt relief flash. So it exists. The attorney nodded. It existed. My breath caught. "What do you mean, existed?" He opened the folder. "Your mother was appointed as custodian when you were a minor." Okay. He flipped a page. "When you turned 18, the structure allowed for distribution." My heart started pounding. "To me." He hesitated. "That would typically be the case, yes." I leaned forward. "So, where is it?" He cleared his throat. "Your mother petitioned for amendments. She became sole beneficiary." The words didn't land properly at first, like my brain couldn't translate them. "I'm sorry, what?" The attorney didn't raise his voice. He didn't soften it. He just repeated it like it was a fact on a weather report. "Your mother has been the sole beneficiary since you were 18. I stared at him. I think my mouth was open. I felt Claire's hand tighten on my knee. "That's not possible," I said. "It was for me?" The attorney nodded slowly, sympathetic, but firm. "There were legal actions taken." I felt something hot rise behind my eyes. "How much was it?" He named an amount, not millions, but enough for a house down payment, enough for college, enough to change a life. I felt sick. "And where is it now?" He tapped another sheet. "There's nothing left to release." The room went quiet except for the hum of fluorescent lights. I heard my own voice, small. "She spent it." The attorney didn't say yes, he didn't have to. Claire's voice was low and shaking. "Can we get copies of everything?" The attorney nodded. "Yes." I left that office feeling like I was walking through water. In the parking lot, I got into the passenger seat and just stared forward. Claire looked at me, eyes wet. "Noah," I whispered. "She stole from me." Claire exhaled shakily. "Yes." I felt my chest tighten so hard I thought I might pass out. "And she lied. For years." Claire reached across the console and held my hand. "I'm so sorry." I stared at our hands and felt something break open inside me. Because it wasn't just money, it was every time I went without, every time I didn't go to college because I didn't want loans, Every time I worked overtime and told myself, it's okay, you're building something. It was my mom watching me struggle and saying nothing. It was her letting me believe help existed, help she'd already consumed. And then I thought about my father, a man I never got to know, a man who, despite whatever happened between him and my mother, left something for me, and my mother took even that. I didn't call her right away. I sat with it for a day because I needed my anger to stop shaking. I needed my words to be clear. But my mom didn't wait. That night she came to our house, no warning, just showed up like she still had access to me. Claire opened the door before I could stop her. My mom stood on the porch with tear-streaked mascara and that familiar look of wounded righteousness. She stepped inside like she belonged there. "Noah, what are you doing?" I stared at her. My voice came out strangely calm. "How long were you going to keep lying?" My mom's face tightened. "Lying about what?" I laughed once, bitter. "Don't do that." My mom's eyes flicked to Claire. "This is because of her." Claire's voice was icy. "Don't." My mom ignored her. "Noah, she's poisoning you. You were fine before." I stepped forward, holding my phone like it was evidence. "I met with the lawyer." My mom froze, just for a second. Then her expression flipped into anger. "You went behind my back." My throat burned. "You stole my settlement." My mom's eyes flashed. "I did not steal anything." I said louder. "You made yourself the beneficiary when I turned 18. My mom's voice rose. "Because you weren't ready." I stared at her, stunned. "I wasn't ready for my own money." My mom snapped. "You would have wasted it. You were young. You were irresponsible." I laughed again, sharp. "I worked 2 jobs at 19. My mom's voice cracked, performative. "And I was protecting you." Claire stepped closer. "By taking it?" My mom turned on her, venomous. "You're not family." Claire didn't flinch. "I'm his wife." My mom's face twisted. "Wife, please. You're the reason he's turning on me." I felt rage surge now, finally clean and hot. "Stop blaming Claire. This is you." My mom's eyes filled with tears again, like she could switch emotions as a strategy. "Noah, I sacrificed everything for you." And there it was, the sentence she always used like a shield. I took a breath. "You did sacrifice. You did work hard. You did raise me." My mom's face softened like she thought she'd won. Then I said, "Steady. But none of that gives you the right to steal from me." My mom's face hardened instantly. "I didn't steal." "You did," I said. "And then you lied for 14 years. My mom's voice dropped, low and dangerous. "Do you know what that money paid for?" I stared. "What?" Her eyes flashed. "Your childhood, your food, your clothes, the rent when we were struggling. You think it was easy?" My stomach turned. "So you used it to raise me?" My mom snapped. "I had to. There was nobody else." I felt something cold settle in me. "Then you should have told me." My mom's voice rose. "So you could judge me? So you could abandon me?" "No." Claire whispered, "Oh my God." I looked at my mom and realized, with clarity that made me feel sick, she wasn't sorry. She was justified, and that meant she would do it again if she could. I swallowed hard. "You let me think it was still there." My mom's face twisted. "I didn't want you obsessed with money." I stared at her. "I wasn't obsessed. I was trying to survive." My mom's voice went sharp. "And you did survive. So stop acting like you're a victim." That sentence hit harder than anything else, because it told me she genuinely believed my pain was an inconvenience. I stood there shaking. Then I said the decision out loud, like a door closing. "You're not welcome here." My mom blinked. "What?" "You're not welcome in my home," I repeated. "And I'm not discussing this without legal counsel present." My mom's face went red. "Legal counsel? Are you threatening your own mother?" I said, quiet and brutal. "You already threatened me when you stole my future." My mom's mouth opened like she wanted to scream. Then she switched tactics again, softer, pleading. Honey, if you do this, I'll have nothing. I stared at her, heart pounding, and realized the final, worst truth. She wasn't afraid of losing me. She was afraid of losing access. I swallowed hard. Then you should have thought about that when you took what wasn't yours. My mom's face went cold. You're ungrateful. I nodded slowly. Maybe. And for the first time in my life, that word didn't control me. My mom stormed out, slamming the door so hard a picture on the wall rattled. Claire turned to me, tears sliding down her cheeks. Noah. I sat down on the floor, like my legs had forgotten how to work. I feel like my whole life is a lie, I whispered. Claire knelt beside me. It's not your fault. I stared at the wall and whispered. She was all I had. Claire's voice broke. I know. The next weeks were ugly. My mom told relatives I was going through something. She told people Claire was controlling. She posted vague Facebook statuses about betrayal and ungrateful children. People I barely knew messaged me like I was a villain in a story my mom wrote. My phone filled with guilt. She did her best. She's your mother. Money isn't everything. You should forgive. And I kept thinking, if money isn't everything, why did she take it? Claire and I met with an attorney. We talked options. The reality was messy. Time had passed. Legal pathways existed, but none were simple. Some were expensive. Some were uncertain. And the worst part wasn't even the legal stuff. The worst part was grief. I'd always held my mom up like a hero, a survivor, a warrior, the person who did everything for me. And now I had to hold two truths at once. She worked hard. She also betrayed me. That combination messed with my head more than any pure villain story ever could, because part of me still wanted to protect her, even after everything. One night, my mom left a voicemail. Her voice was soft, shaky, like she wanted sympathy. I don't recognize you, she said. You used to be my sweet boy. Then she added quieter, if your father were alive, he'd be ashamed. I deleted it, not because it didn't hurt, because it was a weapon, and I was done bleeding on command. It's been 3 months now. I don't talk to my mom, not directly. Everything goes through email if necessary, and even that is rare. Sometimes I still wake up with that old guilt in my chest, like I'm doing something wrong by holding my boundary. But then I look at Claire, at our little house, at the life we're building, and I remember the conference room, the folder, the attorney's calm voice saying, there's nothing left. And I remember the way my mom didn't apologize. She justified. Here's what I realized, the thing that took me the longest to accept. My mom didn't just take money. She took my right to make choices. She took my adulthood. She took my trust. She took the truth about my father and the truth about my own life. And she did it because she believed love meant ownership. But love that requires control isn't love. It's a transaction. And I'm not a transaction anymore. I used to think being a good son meant tolerating anything. Now I think being a good adult means protecting your life, even from the person who raised you. When they show you, they'll take pieces of it and call it care. I don't know if I'll ever fully forgive my mom, but I do know this. The day I finally looked at the truth, I stopped being her sweet boy, and I became myself.